Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 4, Managing Marketing Information to Gain Customer Insights. Principles of Marketing, BSBA 2204. I hope your semester is going well and things are going smoothly. Please remember to do not hesitate to contact me if you need assistance or have a question. So let's get started here and see what Chapter 4 has for us. Here's the learning objectives for Chapter 4. Now remember, make sure that you take a look at these and understand them. A lot of the quiz questions come from aspects of the learning objectives. So what are customer insights? Basically, marketers have to know how customers are thinking, what they value, and how they can become more engaged in order to increase the number of relationships that they have. So customer insights is all about using information to understand your customer and the marketplace. It's done through a lot of different ways, including marketing research. It's very important that marketers and the company know what customers are thinking. If you go to the YouTube channel, and I'll have this posted in your, I'll post a link inside of Blackboard, but there is a video on how Lego turned around their misfortune when they were losing market share and losing sales and revenue after months and months of declining revenue. They basically had a customer focus group come in, and they talk to their customers. Who are their customers? Well, primarily their children, but adults play with Legos as well. But this is a very good example of how a company went in, asked questions, and found out what customers were thinking and what customers were wanting. And it really helped give the company a better idea of what types of products to bring out in the future. One of the things that the meetings with the customers brought out was that the company had very few products for girls, and girls wanted to play with Legos as well. So Lego started, especially for the younger groups, started building and introducing Legos that would be attractive to young female customers. It's really important that a company use that information, and that the company as a whole understand what customers value, because understanding and using those insights creates more value for customers. So firms create value through their products and services. By using customer insight, companies can create products and services that deliver above average or above what is expected by the customer. And that's where you truly get customer satisfaction, when you deliver value above what the customer was expecting. And the way to do that is to go in and discover customer insights. Marketing information system is all about storing and having that information available so that the company can use it when they need to use it in order to create value, develop new products, customize existing products, or innovate. So it's everything from the people who collect the data to the technical computer systems that actually help put the information in order so that businesses can make decisions from that data. If you take a look at this graphic, you will see that marketing information system is used by a lot of different people in the marketing environment, a lot of different subjects or companies. And the marketing information system is just not one. It's its internal databases, it's marketing intelligence that is gathered from the field, it's marketing research that is gathered from the public or from the markets in which the company wants to do business in. And the company will assess what type of information they need and use all of these in order to get information and help them analyze and use that information. And they get this information from a variety of places, from target markets, marketing channels, competitors, the general public, and the macro environment forces that exist in the market for that particular company. Marketing information systems is not just used by the company itself. It can be used by external partners such as suppliers, resellers, and other marketing service agencies that make up the entire channel. A really good example that's given here is where Apple, based on their customer insight and their marketing information systems, can tell their suppliers that in the future their customers want something smaller, thinner. They want their devices to be more portable. This will give their suppliers more leadway in developing parts that can enable Apple to create a smaller, thinner type of device. So this is a very good example of using assessing the market information needs and taking that information and giving it to external partners that can then help the company realize what they need for their customers based on the customer insight that they've collected. Obviously, it's not cheap to get information. Companies have to will pay for it one way or another, whether it's buying it from a third party who does marketing research or doing the marketing research themselves. So a good marketing information system will balance what a company really needs versus what they want and what's feasible financially to offer the firm through its MIS offerings. Marketers obtain their information from three primary sources: internal data that's already been collected, marketing intelligence that they may have gathered from the field through their sales force or through their suppliers, and marketing research that they either conduct themselves or marketing research that they hire out from third parties to collect data from the market. These internal databases, such as a customer relationship management system, gather this data from customers and put it in the input for the marketing information systems. So this internal database is there for present employees and future employees, and that data is constantly manipulated to make sure that it's always up to date. Competitive marketing intelligence can come from a myriad of different sources. It can come from consumers, competitors, any type of analysis that's done. A lot of companies today have listening centers where they actually monitor social media to find out what customers are saying and also to find out what their competitors are saying about them. So these listening centers can really help engage with customers, but also gather a lot of competitive marketing intelligence. This is in no particular order, and I'm not sure why this slide was there. I took this last year. This is my bird Winston, who likes to obviously sleep sometimes in my pocket and look out the window from his perch. I don't know why I have that there, but I thought you might like to see Winston. You won't be tested on Winston. Marketing research is basically a systematic design that's used to collect and analyze data that's relevant to some type of marketing problem or situation that an organization is facing. So it's designing the research, a collection of data, analyzing that data, and then creating, after the analysis, creating some type of report that's usable to people in the firm. So if you look at the acronym SCAR, Systematic Design, Collection, Analysis, and Reporting. Marketing research has several steps, and you'll have the opportunity, especially if you're a marketing concentrator, to take marketing research while you're here at Fairmont State. And that's Marketing 3340, which is marketing research that is offered usually in the spring or summer semesters. But the first step in the marketing research process is actually defining the problem and determining what your objectives are for the research. So if your problem is sales have declined in the last 7 quarters, you need to find out as a company what's happening. And you have to define that problem and then do research to help you reach those research objectives that you will put out there. Of course, one of the objectives would be finding out what is causing the decline in sales over the 7 consecutive quarters. Defining that problem comes through 3 different types of research: exploratory, descriptive, and causal research. Marketing research to test hypotheses about a cause and effect relationship, which is causal, is often one way that companies can find out or try to find out why something happened that is happening to the firm, like consecutive declining quarters in sales. And you can read here the definitions of exploratory and descriptive research. The second step in the research process is developing some type of research plan. First of all, this plan will outline the sources of existing data or secondary data. In other words, data that already exists that we really don't have to do much research for. It's already out in the marketplace. And it also spells out exactly how we're going to get the information. Are we going to do a survey? Are we going to do a questionnaire? Are we going to ask questions inside our stores of our customers? So we're actually trying to find out exactly how we're going to collect this data. When we're developing this plan, we have to remember we have this problem that we're trying to get information on to help us solve. And so defining that problem and then determining what our research objectives are. And then once we have our objectives, we have to determine what type of information are we going to need that's going to help us reach those objectives and help us solve this problem. And that's going to help us determine how the results will help the management make decisions that will ultimately solve the problem. But of course, all of this has to have some type of a budget. We just don't have an open checkbook to do the research from or for. So it's important that as we're developing this plan, all of these, the problem, the objectives, the type of information needed, how the results are going to help management, and the budget are all put into this research plan that will help us as we implement or have the research done for us. As I mentioned a couple slides ago, there are 2 different types of data. One is secondary data, and this is information that's already out there in the marketplace. This is information that we could Google, we could get from the internet, and it's basically free to us if it's the right information. And primary data is information that we actually collect. So the company actually gets this information. So it's raw data that is original and hasn't been collected once from someone else. We've collected it ourselves. So we know that it's basically collected for a specific purpose. So if we want to know why sales have declined over the past 7 consecutive quarters, we could go out and survey our customers to find out why they're not shopping as much as they used to. That could be a way that we do it. If we did that ourselves, that would be primary data. However, if we went to the internet to find out why retail sales are down, that would also give us some insight. But again, it may not be specific enough to solve our own problem. Maybe our own problem is because of something we're doing internally, and we wouldn't probably find that out from secondary data. We might find out from secondary data that all retail establishments have 7 consecutive quarters of declining sales because of the pandemic, but that wouldn't tell us any specific, give us any specific information about our own company. So we may have to collect primary data. Primary data is original and expensive and time consuming to collect. Secondary data is not original. It is less expensive or completely free, and it's very quickly collected because it already exists. So here are just some this is advantages and disadvantages of gathering secondary information or information that's already out there. The advantages of it, as I've mentioned earlier, it's lower cost, you can get it quickly, and you may not have been able to collect that information otherwise. Disadvantages, though, it may not be relevant to your problem. It could possibly not even be accurate. It may also not be current, and it could be that it's not impartial. In other words, there may be some slant given to it from its original source. So the secondary data has its advantages and disadvantages, and you really have to sort that out as you are collecting information and trying to determine how you're going to collect your information. I've actually put an assignment in Blackboard, so you can ignore this slide. This was for an in-class assignment for the students who were in class, so you don't have to bother or worry about this. We talked about secondary data, its advantages and disadvantages. Here's a primary primary data collection where we're actually going to do the research ourselves. Don't concern yourself too much about this. This is more in-depth information that you'll get from your marketing research class if you choose to take that class. These are just some ways that primary data is collected, though. Through the mail, telephone, online, and we've all probably had some sort of survey done to us either by phone or online. But you can take a look at all the different ways to actually collect information through primary means. Observational research is basically the collecting of data or gathering of primary data by observing people and how they act and what they do in certain situations. I'll give you a really good example of this. You may not have known this, but there was a study done many years ago in the retail setting trying to determine when people walk through the front door of a business, which way do they actually go? Do they go to the left or do they go to the right? And it was found that the majority of people, when they walk into a store, actually turn to their right. And that so you might ask, so why would I need to know that information if I'm a retailer? Well, retailers would put their most profitable products on the right hand of the store from the entrance because that's where people went to first. So, but it was just, that information was gathered just by observing with a camera and tape recording people as they came through the doors. Ethnographic research is when you have trained observers and you put those trained observers in the natural environment of a consumer. So I'll give you an example here. Motorola, when the first cell phones were coming out, Motorola decided to put observers in areas throughout the country to see how people used their cellular phones when they first came out. They wanted to know, were they talking, were they texting, what were they doing or using the phone for the majority of the time. And they were just in the natural environment. People didn't even know that they were there, but that would be an example of ethnographic research. There's survey research. You can read experimental research. There's focus groups where you gather 6 to 10 people, put them in a room, ask them questions about products, ask them questions about just about anything. So I'll give you another example. I was actually participated in a focus group many years ago. My wife and I were in Las Vegas, and we were asked to sit in a room for about 20 minutes for $50, and we watched a television show that was being tested before it was put into production and put on the air on national television. It just so happens, and this was many years ago, but it just so happens that that television show was the pilot of The Big Bang Theory. And the only thing that we did in the focus group setting was watch the television show, and then we were asked our facial expressions were recorded to see if there was any laughter at certain points during the pilot, and it was also there were a few questions afterward that ask us questions about the show. But that would be a focus group, and you really get to you get some good information, but that from those focus groups. But sometimes customers aren't always open or honest. So, for example, in our setting, because we were given $50, some of the people in the focus group may have given a positive results or positive responses to the questions just simply because they were being paid. So it has its drawbacks as well. Here's some online contact methods, some of the advantages of that. So if we're going to sample people for our research in order to collect primary data, what is a sample? Well, a sample is a segment of people in the population that you choose to ask questions from. So you have to determine who are we going to study and how many people should be in the study in order for the information that we get to be legitimate and to be effective, and how should we choose those people. So when you take your marketing research class, you will get all these answers, but it's very important that we select the right people, we select enough people, and that we select them in a way that is non-discriminate and making sure that everyone has an equal chance of being selected. Now this year, the U.S. government is conducting the census. A census is when you sample everyone in a population. You don't segment it. You actually sample everybody in the population. That's called a census. Here are some different types of samples: probability versus non-probability samples, some different types of questionnaires, primary data collection through mechanical research, scanners, people meters. There's all types of different mechanical devices to actually get raw data, raw primary data. Customer relationship management is when we really try to gather as much information as we can about every individual customer that we have through touch points that could be as simple as the customer calling in, asking a question, or getting online or emailing us. We really want to gather as much information about the customer as we can. One of the reasons why is because in the long run, we can maximize revenue, increase customer loyalty, and customer satisfaction. And if you do all those three things, you're going to maximize your profit. Customer relationship management, or CRM, is a big buzzword in marketing and a big buzzword in business that you will hear over and over again throughout your time here at Fairmont State, but also when you're out in the workplace. Here are some common customer relationship management touch points. I talked about online, web, or social media sites, customer purchases, When you go to the grocery store and use your frequent buyer's card, or the little thing you carry on your keychain so that you get a discount, that is basically tracking your purchases. You might do that when you go to Kroger's or Giant Eagle or wherever you do your grocery shopping. You might use that little customer loyalty card. That's tracking all of your purchases, which gives that company a lot of valuable information about how you shop. Sales forces can also gather information for the customer relationship management system. Satisfaction surveys, marketing research studies, and again, there's a variety of ways to collect that information. One thing that companies have to do is make sure that if they are collecting information, that they do it in an ethical way and that they don't misuse their research findings or misguide the public when they're collecting the data. There's lots of ways that you can do this, and all of us are going to be subject to this during this political season over the next couple months because of the presidential election. You may get a call on the phone trying to find out who you're voting for, or actually they may seem like they're collecting information, but in fact they may be trying to persuade you to vote one way or the other. This might be looked at as unethical. So companies have to make sure that they meet local and federal regulations and that they don't misguide the customer. So the public policy and ethics need to be followed. And that is chapter 4. When you're studying for this particular chapter, I want just to tell you that just study the basics. There won't be too many detailed questions about marketing research because we have a marketing research class that if you want to learn more about marketing research, or if you're a marketing concentrator, you'll probably take that class. You'll get more information. But just know the basics, like the difference between primary and secondary data. Know why companies might want to collect customer insights and so forth. So don't worry too much about the specifics and the steps. If there were steps like the marketing research process, don't worry about the order of those steps, but just know what if a question is asked about them, you might be able to answer what they mean. Okay, so I don't want you to get too tied up in the specifics of the chapter. So that's chapter 4, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Take care and have a great day. Stay safe.